Welcome to Mixtapes and Mopeds with Red Wheels and Panda, the fastest growing podcast on the internet. And listeners, keep reminding us. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the kind comments. Thank you for the posts. We get to hear from you guys all the time. Well, we had a couple weeks off. I know, Panda, you were busy. You've been traveling around doing Hilton Head things. So what's been going on
Yep.
with you, Panda?
Yeah, I've been lucky to spend a few different times over there as we're getting our place kind of situated. Yeah, it's been a little back and forth. I'm heading to Ohio Friday to visit Casey up in Cincinnati. Jill and I are going up there, so that should be fun. It's
You got to
actually
stop by the mother. You're going to make it to the motherland, or you're just going to make it
not
to?
not quite going to make it all the way to the motherland,
Uh,
but close. Just the southern borders of the
just the southern
motherland.
borders of the motherland. You're still in the motherland, but you didn't make
Yes.
it to the central city of motherland.
No, we'll make it to Mount Adams and probably not a whole lot further north than that for this trip. But yeah, just a lot of life going on for the pandas. How you just getting back from the motherland? So how was that? How was your
Yeah, yeah,
trip?
yeah. So that's going to start into our next topics, and thank you about that. But before that, we've got a big, big announcement. This is a big, big announcement from the Red Wheels Panda, but you got to stay tuned. You got to stay to the end of the podcast. We got a big announcement coming up, and don't worry, it's not ending. It might be Sirius XM, but it may not be.
Oh, oh boy, been listening to Smartless too
Just
much.
stay tuned. Just stay tuned. And also stay tuned because at the end of this podcast, going to be some picks from the motherland. We'll be a little extra special footage at the end. So stay tuned for all of our glorious listeners from the motherland or everybody else. You can go and see the Red Wheels Panda. So we talk a lot about the motherland. And, one of those things of I read about folks getting older, and one of the things about getting older, whether you're 16 or 80 years old, and what I read is embracing change. We can all think about that. The Pan and I experienced change from where we went to college, and then picking up everything from the motherland and going down to Atlanta, Georgia, and living in apartments, and everything changed. And so, I mean, one of the things I'd say is embrace change. If there's anything in life for anybody to learn, figure out how you embrace change. And especially as we get older, one of the things that I notice, it's harder for us to embrace change as we get older. And I think if I can say is how do we, think about that to everything, every day, there's always some change. And it's good. It's good, bad, and different. You can always figure out how you take that. So the first topic we had around the horn is I was up in the motherland, and my parents lived in the same house for 50 years. So the house I grew up in, when I was a kid from 0 to 9 years old, my parents were refugees. We were living everywhere. Every year we were moving to some other place, and whether it
You
was
live in
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh? Yeah, Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh,
right?
I was
Yeah.
born in Pittsburgh, and my parents stayed at my mom's house for I think the better part of 6 to 8 months, and then they had an apartment, and then they had another apartment. Then they moved to Newark, Ohio, and then they moved to
Oh,
Lancaster. But we probably from 0 to 9, they probably moved maybe 6 times, and that's what happens when you're younger. I think I counted up between age 18 to age 30. I moved somewhere near 17 times. So it's always about change, and you gotta plan on that. And so when we think about that, we have to embrace it. And it's good, it's okay. So as especially we have our kids that move all over the place, and but our parents. So if we're lucky enough that we have our parents that still are around, we embrace and figure out, all right, how do we take care of our parents? So my parents were up in Ohio, and there was nobody nearby, and I said, hey guys, we have to figure out what is next, because you guys are in your 80s. Somebody's got to be near you to help take you care of you. It's our turn. You guys put us in house. We went through college. So I was up in the motherland. They finally listened to me, and starting in July, I just got notified, hey, we're having a garage sale. Um, and we've got cousins and aunts and uncles coming over to help in the garage sale. All right, I'll be helping. So my parents kind of like maybe within like overnight said, hey, we're having this big garage sale. They sold everything in the garage sale. And I hooked him up with the best real estate agent. There's going to be a plug here. Lori Roop, if you're listening, big plug for the Motherland real estate agent. She was fantastic. My parents might be a little bit of a small handful to deal with. I love you, mom and dad, but
A few questions asked, I'm sure.
a few, yeah, because you don't have experience. 50 years, you don't have
Yeah,
experience
true,
selling houses.
true,
I
right.
mean, you and I have sold, I know, I think I counted like 6 houses. I mean, you probably have been through 10.
Yeah,
We've had experience of picking up, selling, and going to the next one. When you've been in the same one for 50 years, yeah, so a little background on that house. One of my other really good friends, Mr. Wonka King Scott Parmenter, his father, God bless him, went through with my parents back in 1974 to sell their house for $18,500 is what they bought that house in
wow.
1974. I just can't believe it. So I was tasked this weekend to fit all their crap into 5 pods. When I say 5 pods, these are little lockers by U-Haul. And I had a plan because the Ohio State football game was on Saturday. And by God, I was going to have that thing packed up I was planning on 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. We had it done by 2 p.m. and on the road so we could go hit a hotel and go see an Ohio State football game playing Oregon at a hotel room at 7:30 p.m. that night. So man, it was a lot of work, but and a lot of boohoo's, is it to have somebody, even for me, man, it was emotional of that was, that's as a kid, even as an adult at 60 years old, man, you're going, that was the homestead. Your parents have
Yeah,
moved around a little bit, but that was my spot. You could always have this comfort walking into that house. You're like, I'm back home. And it's gone now. I mean, but that's okay. I
yeah.
I I was glad to get them out of there, get them down to Florida. They just took off this morning down to St. Pete, right in the middle of the hurricane area, and they're gonna go get into that area. And it was an interesting, busy weekend. But many shout out to so many folks that chipped in and helped out. I can't tell you how many. I mean, there must have been 50 different people that just different times that pitched in and to help them move along, and big deal. And actually, the same thing is this weekend was also the fair weekend. I did not get a jump over to the fair.
Oh, wow.
Didn't have time, but there's a class of 1984 reunion, and I had the an invitation to go over and see Lancaster High School, the old Lancaster High School. Our old Lancaster High School is getting torn down. And I had the chance to walk in the door. And again, my real estate agent, Lori Roop, man, she's just getting all kinds of accolades on this call. She invited me over, and we were over there with a class of 84 and 79 had the reunion too. And we got a tour of Lancaster. And man, you talk about me. I had tears, man, walking in that door of just seeing, walking in there and seeing the gymnasium, seeing the
Yeah.
cafeteria. I walked in the cafeteria and was like, hey, hey, kids earmuffs, where I had a couple too many beers sitting on a bale of hay, and the assistant principal said, hey, Steve, you're not looking too good. Hey, come over here with me to the principal's office.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I saw the pictures on Facebook, and that Lori did a really good job of showing those pictures. And the school actually looked a lot better than I expected. But I was wondering if you went and found the detention room where you spent some time when your high school career.
Oh,
Did you
thanks.
like?
And you were never there. Yeah,
I never
the
did.
pan no the
Panda
panda
did not
lived
make it.
a clean life. of high school life, and the detention room, and I was also I had to peer into the principal's office where I was in there maybe a few times, of and the where you used to have the passes that I forged to leave school. And we also had the detentions. I don't know how many detentions I had, but I used to have them forged too. That I was in there, would hand them. But it was the girls that go, "All right, Steve, yeah, you're in there. Check the box." They would help me out. So it was not.
You're not going to
I,
get anybody in trouble by naming names this time. You already did
no,
that
I'm
one
not
other
saying
time.
naming
Okay.
names. I am not. No, but there are two girls. I'm never gonna say name their names. But there are two girls who I go that would check off that I was in detention. I never spent one time in detention,
That's classic.
but I was in detention. The funny thing about it was, I don't know, you never figured this out. Yeah, I was all, and still am always like scheming, right? Always scheming. And so journalism was the class that you wanted to take because you go out and say, hey, I'm going to do advertising. You had to pass to leave school. And that was kind of the pass to go drive around in the car and maybe you
Yeah,
do a
yeah. Blah
little
blah 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 blah. Dot
blah, blah,
dot
blah,
dot
blah, blah,
dot
blah.
dot 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 dot.
Da, 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 da. Yay. But what I didn't know was when I was walking through there meeting different folks, they were going, "Oh yeah, journalism. No, we used to get past." I went, "Huh? I thought I was one of the few that had that trick in there." I mean, I must have ran into 4 or 5 people that had that same little scheme going on of getting the passes going out. I by the
I do have to confess, I was making fun of your detentions, but do you remember the math teacher, Mr. Manuel, Lester Manuel?
Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember that,
Lester
Mr.
Manuel. Oh
Manuel?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think I was making fun of him or somebody in the class, and I actually did do a detention in his room one time. So it wasn't like an official detention, but he made me come after class. So I guess technically I can't say I got to high school without one because I actually did have to spend one in his room.
Oh, dude, well, I had to also remember. Do you remember we walked into senior court? Do you remember how like sacred?
Oh
I
my,
mean,
yes. You didn't
if
walk
you were
through if you were a
oh,
junior or
if you
sophomore.
were a sophomore or a junior and
Yeah.
you walked in there, you're getting your butt kicked.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And it was walking out. It was really like still going. Wow, I just kind of the
Did
little
they keep
tingles.
that? Was it still considered senior court or?
Yeah, still senior court. It's still the
Wow.
same thing. Because at one time that was Smoker's Patio. And about 3 or 4 years
Mm.
before we got there, they changed it and they moved it out to the technology classes. So if you were a smoker, man, you had to
You had to walk.
walk. You had to walk pretty to the other side of the world to go smoke your cigarettes. But yeah, that's what it was originally set up. But man, there's just so many members. English lit, British lit, JJ Lucasco. We went
Mm.
right by there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you took physics with Cole.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Mr. Coles. Yeah.
and matter of
Yeah.
fact, Lori just sold Mr. Cole's house this last weekend.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
And I
interesting.
remember the front doors. I was looking at the front doors, and I remember when I opened up the doors when Earl Bruce was recruiting Barry Walker.
Mm.
I opened up the door, and Earl Bruce walked in, and he was going to find Barry Walker, and
Oh
I just
wow.
remember that. It was like it was yesterday.
Wow.
He
Yeah, that's cool.
turned around and looked at the wall. And what was different maybe than when we were there, the wall of all the athletes from John Zishka to Tom Graham to Tim
Mm.
Graham to Alan Anderson. But the funny one was the number of carpenters. So it was
Oh yeah.
Rob Carpenter, and I think he had 4 sons,
Bobby.
or
Bobby.
Bobby, and I think
Jonathan
John
Carpenter.
Carpenter. Yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and there were 2 more. There was
Yeah.
like the whole section dedicated to the Carpenters.
Yeah, I bet.
And man, that was freaking awesome. And then walking into the basketball courts, you were a basketball
Mm-hmm.
player. Did you play there with Lance and
Yeah. I
Mike
I
Avant and
yeah, I didn't play my senior year. I just wanted to focus on baseball. But I played all the way up through junior year. Yeah, I played with those guys. They were obviously way better than I was. I was kind of a marginal
I
basketball player.
remember, I didn't go to too many basketball games, but I do have memories of going in junior year of seeing you out there. You got into a few games.
I
I
did.
know you,
I was
yeah.
just kind of a hustler. I didn't really score much.
Oh, you're a 6'4", man. You're out there as the big guy. You're still good enough to get out
I
there.
could barely dribble. I don't know what I was doing out there.
But it was just
Uh,
And walking into, did you ever go to one of our good friends, Wally, used to be in the, not the choir, but he was an actor or something. He did a lot of the
Yeah.
plays over there.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
theater. That theater has not changed. I mean, literally, we walked down and went, good God, nothing has changed. It was all the same white walls. It really was not the outside looked bad, but the inside looked great. It's still well upkept.
What about the planetarium? Because I thought that was the
Gone. That
coolest
thing's been
thing.
gone for years.
Oh, it
Yeah.
has. Oh, that's too bad. That was
Yeah.
awesome. I'd love to go in there and just sit up and look at the stars. And yeah, that was always a cool
I
thing.
mean, the best class. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Started with an L. Lichtens.
I don't
I
remember
never
that.
took that class, but as part of physics, Cole took us over there, and we
Hmm.
did a few classes over there, and got to go in there. Of course, they did some breaks in there. I loved that. Was one of my favorite things.
That's so
I was
cool.
so bummed out when they tore that thing down. Yeah, right
Huh.
now the new high school, I think, butts up right next to it. I mean, literally, the new high school is about 20 feet from the back of the old high school.
So, like the baseball field that's no longer, they probably built on top of the what was the old baseball field because they now like
No clue.
the
I didn't
baseball
see.
fields where Thomas Ewing was now. I think they've moved it down the road, but because there used to be a big old hill that we'd have to run. Coach Conrad would make us run the hills, and it was right by the baseball stadium. There was this, yeah, I don't know,
We
maybe
still
like,
love you, Lenny. It's okay. I didn't
yeah,
play
yeah,
baseball, but we still love you, Lenny.
yeah, Lenny's a good dude, but yeah, he was a masochist on some days, and if you did anything wrong, and if you're a catcher, you have to wear your catcher's gear sometimes. So that sucked. So I guess
Oh,
maybe
good God. The catchers had to wear their gear to go up the
I don't
hills?
know, I might be
You're the last
misremembering,
people to. Wow.
that, but I do remember running up and down those hills quite a bit.
I just remember wrestling and all the laps we had to do around those stupid stands of the basketball players up and down the
Oh
stands. Oh,
yeah.
God. Beat the crap out of us.
So
Uh,
go back to your Stanberry days. Did you have to do that at Stanberry too when you
yeah,
wrestled
because
there?
that basketball court, that was
Yeah.
the worst one.
Yeah, it was.
Joe McClurg was the
Yeah.
coach. We
Yeah.
ran those stands like nobody's business.
Oh, we did the same basketball there too, and even the baseball because we practiced indoors there. And yeah, that was like painful. Man, we ran those because you had the stairs in the corners, then you could go up and you could actually run around the
Yeah,
top, and then you come
right.
down. Oh man, that was gross.
And constant, I mean, it's constant. And, anybody screw up, you were running
Yeah,
those stairs.
yeah.
And the wrestling team, that's where we practiced. Even in high school, we practiced at Stanberry. We didn't practice it too many times at the high
Uh,
school. So I ran those for 3 years. I didn't do senior
ouch.
year. I did freshman year and sophomore and junior. Well, I did the partial sophomore when I got the little detention.
Okay.
That's when I came back
You
to
know,
have
I don't know
something
if
to do.
do you remember Dave Pence? He was a
Yeah, 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 yeah,
basketball and baseball coach, and
yeah.
he was particularly loved to make us do that. So he was a taskmaster, but a great
Ah,
coach.
the good old days of beating the crap out of you.
Yeah,
Now you go, come on, can you run a little
I
bit now?
know. Are you okay?
Are you okay? Do you need some water?
Did you stub your toe? Go sit on the sidelines. You'll be okay.
Oh God. I mean, that just builds your character.
Yeah.
Well, that was a long talk for me, and I tell you what, for all of our listeners in the motherland, I can't tell you that's just the greatest place in the world to be, to growing up. You guys are lucky to be there. I can't tell you how much that just it's an awesome place, and great to see all of the folks that were there. Just awesome, awesome. I hope I get to come back even without my parents there. I think I know we will figure out how to crash at Dale Edwards' house and make it
There you
back there
go.
again. By the way, one of our interviews coming up is going to be with Mr. Edwards, so stay tuned there, Dale. All
Does Dale know this
right.
yet?
No, I'm letting him know.
Okay, good. All right.
Now, a happy topic. Panda's got a little. He had a great concert. The unfortunate part is he scheduled his concert in the middle of one of the best football games of the year.
Uh,
But
Yeah.
it was still an awesome concert that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about your concert
Yeah.
here in Atlanta.
So back in 2019, ELO came through Atlanta. It hadn't been through town in 38 years. It's like 1981. So we went, and Jill and I walked out of there like, that's the best concert I've ever been to. Couldn't believe it. I mean, it's ELO. You're thinking, okay, it can't be that good. Oh my God. So they announced their last tour, American tour, and they came through Atlanta back in March. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get tickets. When is it? It's in October. Okay, got it.
Did
So
they still hit the high notes? Did they go? Hello?
Oh, they have a female singer there. She's got an operatic voice, and then they had several other singers. So they were hitting all the notes. Now Jeff Lynne, who's the lead singer, he needs a little bit of help, but he had plenty of. There's 13 members in that band. Crazy. There's two cellists, a violinist, there's guitar, and multiple keyboard players, and all on and on and on. They were amazing. I posted a video out to our Facebook page. If you listen to it, just that was the first song of the set. It was just amazing, and they literally like 19 of the 20 songs I knew it by heart, and they played it perfectly, and we had great seats, and it was just fantastic. Now the yes, the point you just made is I didn't realize back in March that it was the night of the Ohio State Oregon game. So we skipped the opener, went to a bar outside of State Farm and watched the first half, and then we went in and caught the show. And of course, the Buckeyes didn't do so well in the second half, so I probably didn't miss that much. But I was watching it on my phone
No,
anyway.
still, I'm not disappointed in my Buckeyes whatsoever. They put it up. We all know the little cheat that happened that was a fair
Yeah,
cheat that they did,
yeah,
but hey, they're going
good
to
for
change the
them.
rules because of that football
They
game.
they changed the rules, but it was legal when he did it. So
It
kudos to
was
that coach.
absolutely legal, and when we see them in Indianapolis going for
Yeah,
the Big Ten championship, there's going to be a whole different, and there's going to be a lot of emotion going on with that Buckeye team. And I
yeah,
sure hope Chip Kelly this time throws in a little bit of craziness. That
yeah,
their coach Dan Lanning did a great job coaching
yeah.
that game
He
and
did.
had his players ready to go,
Yeah,
and they were a little more fired up. But it was that
it's a
environment was
great game.
great game. You
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 can't
can't as a
argue.
as a fan. I was not disappointed at all.
Not at all.
I not at all.
No, I predicted that was a loss coming into the season for Ohio State. I'm not at all surprised. It was a great game. This is really all you really want. And in this day and age, it didn't really hurt anybody. It didn't change anything about Ohio State season. In the past, you lose a game like that, you may not make the 14 playoff. And then we're going to talk about it later. That doesn't really mean all that much now. And they'll probably play each other again in the championship game, and who knows what will happen on a neutral site anyway.
I can tell you what's going to happen on the neutral site. That is going to be obliteration. Those
I
guys are going to
hope
be
so.
so freaking fired up, and Judkins is going to be the guy that's going to go. I was,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
a fumble. I am going to go run all over these turds, and I'm going to eat a duck. I'm going to go eat some duck, man.
All right.
Quack quack, baby.
I hope
Quack.
so. I hope so.
All right, going into our first segment here for our listeners. So, the last couple of weeks we had growing up in Ohio, the baseball, even nationally, everybody loved this guy. And Pete Rose passed away in the last couple of weeks. And I know as a kid, I was a big Pirates fan, so I was always between Roberto Clemente and all that team. Just loved my Pirates, but growing up around the Ohio, everybody else is Reds, or not very many Indians fans. Mostly the Big Red Machine, and I still like the Big Red Machine. You could not help but love Charlie Hustle and Pete Rose. So Andy, tell me a little bit. You were a baseball player. Tell me a little bit about Pete Rose was just awesome growing up in the '70s and '80s.
I agree with everything you said, except for maybe one comment that everybody loved Pete. I would think all the Reds fans loved Pete, but everybody who was not a Reds
Well,
fan hated him. They respected him, but they didn't like him because he was not a likable guy when he wasn't your guy. So when Pete left and went to the Phillies, I hated him. When he went to the Expos, I hated him. He came back to the Reds, and I loved him again. And when he was on your side, because he had the style of play that nobody before, and really nobody since has had, which is I'm going to hustle all all the time. He doesn't walk to first base. He sprinted to first base, right? And nobody did that before. Nobody does
And
it.
how many
So
times did you see him going down to first base and taking a look back to see if they were just holding the ball? I've seen it just take off to second base. And
yeah,
he just would do, and he was the really kind of the first that really started that slide of going into second base. I mean, there was a couple players, but he was the one that did that dive into
yeah,
second base.
it's a little more common now, but I was a Johnny Bench guy, as I think we've established, but I was a Big Reds fan, Big Red Machine fan, and Pete Rose, I did love him as a player when he was on the Reds, and I actually did emulate him on his base running. I was a head first diver. And all the bases, and I was a catcher. I ended up moving to the outfield. I could run. I was not a slow guy, so I had I stole lots of bases in high school, whatever, and
As a catcher.
like
Holy
well, I
crap.
moved to the outfield my senior year, and yeah, I think I either led the team in steals, or I think Edwards maybe beat me by one or something. Yeah, and he and I
Dale?
were yeah,
Really?
Dale.
You're close to Dale? Who's
Well,
one of
yeah,
the
I mean,
fastest guys I know. I mean, he was
oh no, Dale was
a
like a
beauty.
legit 4 or 5 player. I was not. So I'm not saying that I was fast as Dale. I was not, but I was a good and savvy base runner, and I could steal a base. And I usually got a good jump. That's how I did it. Coach Conrad gave me nearly a green light, and I think Dale and I may have tied or something for stolen bases. Anyway, so I could run, but when I stole, yeah, I went head first on all of them, and I would have on my arms, I would have just raspberries all from sliding because the fields, back then were like crusty. They're not well manicured. And like today, even high schools you play at today down here in Georgia, they're all soft. That soft clay that they bring in that doesn't have clawed clumps in it and all that. It's soft, easy to slide on. But that's not what we were playing on back in the day. And so, but I did it because that's what Pete did, and I always felt like that was the fastest way to get to a bag. So I just thought he was super special. Obviously, the all-time career hit leader,
All
and
right, all right. So, do you think he belongs in the Hall of Fame?
um, I did for
Wow,
I did
a
for
pause.
I did for many years, like decades, and then he admitted um, that he gambled on baseball when he was managing, and then I was like kind of neutral about it. But the way I think about it is he suffered his indignation. He never got in when he was alive. I think he didn't he didn't do anything that really caused an integrity issue with the game. It was wrong. It was illegal. He knew it was. He did it anyway. He paid his price. I think he will get in, voted into the Hall of Fame. I do believe that. And I did want to share one story that I remember vividly as a kid growing up, the 1976 World Series. So Pete was an outfielder. He started at second base, but then he played mostly outfield. And then Sparky Anderson needed to get George Foster into the lineup in 75. And so he put Foster in left and he moved Pete Rose to third, which he'd never really played before. And he became a very serviceable third baseman. Didn't have a great arm, but just a very serviceable player. And they, of course, won in 75. And then 76, they went back and they were playing the Yankees, which was supposed to be a really good team matchup. And so I don't know if you remember this guy, but the Yankees leadoff hitter was a guy named Mickey Rivers. He
Oh
was a
yeah, golly, yeah, Mickey
lefty.
Rivers, yeah.
He was fast as you would not believe, and he was a 300 hitter, just disruptor, top of the order. And so Pete's at third, and Pete came in like if the base paths are 90 feet from home to third, he was lined up, I would say like 45 feet in. So he was basically in even closer than you would line up for like a suicide squeeze. And it totally took Mickey Rivers out of his game. And I went and looked up his stats today. In that World Series, which the Reds ended up winning 4-0 in part because of this, he went 3 for 18, batted like 167, and his lifetime batting average in postseason, including that 3 for 18, was over 300. So Pete just totally took that guy. He just blew his mind, took him out of the game, and the Yankees really never recovered. And it was just for Pete being that competitive gamer.
Well,
And
the other let's be honest. The other thing there was Dave Concepcion being right behind Pete. So if the ball was going to get past Pete, Dave Concepcion was one of the best shortstops of all time, defensively. And so if it was going to get by Pete, but that's pretty impressive.
yeah, and well, I don't know that Dave Concepcion's backing up third baseman, but he was a hell of a third shortstop, so I give you that. But the thing was that Mickey Rivers, I don't even know if he ever hit a ball to Pete. It was like he was so psyched out. It was crazy. Like, yeah, you'd think, yeah, just try to smash one down his face. I don't think he ever even hit the ball that way. So it was just to me. I learned at a young age watching that World Series and Pete Rose how one player can just totally get in the
The
mind under
mind.
yeah get in the mind of another player and really change the trajectory of a game or a series in that case. So
That's a great story. Good
yeah,
story.
that was Pete Rose in a nutshell for me.
Well, I agree with you from the Hall of Fame standpoint to go on with that. I have always said, even 20 years ago, I've said Pete will get in the Hall of Fame when he dies. And I think the other thing we have to wait on, the current baseball commissioner will not let Pete in. So the current baseball commissioner has to move on when we get the next baseball commissioner, because it's got to come from that office
Yeah.
to go promote it. And I think the next baseball commissioner, everybody's going to say, "Hey, dude, you got to put Pete Rose in." The current one's locked in; he's not going to let him in. But we'll see. Yeah, we all loved him. Segment number two is a favorite for everybody. Here we are. It's the Dirty Niner. The Dirty Niner. This week is kind of a calm Dirty Niner, but we
Yeah.
always loved. I love talking about the mascots around any all the college sports. We're not talking about all the pro. We tend to focus on college football, and we're going to talk about the college football mascots. Now, before we get into this segment and talk about, I know I've always been a big Duck fan. I love the Duck, man. The Oregon came into the Big Ten meetings, they introduced, and they blew up an 80-foot duck and floated it on the river in Indianapolis to show that the Duck had made it into the Big Ten. And I went, that was freaking awesome. Now, I think that duck sucks.
Yes, agreed.
Now, we had a rivalry with Michigan. I think we have a new rivalry. Those Ducks are who we're going after. Still love the Duck, but they're not going to make the top mascots in this poll for me anyway. So we're going to kick off the best college football mascots, and it's our opinion. We're
Yep.
just going to say what do we like, and I'm sure we're both going to be homers about our mascots. I'm going to kick it off.
Yep. Go
Panda, do you
first.
want to go first?
No, go first. It's your turn.
Okay. Uh, well, I'm going to be the first homer in this deal. I'm going to be I can't say it's number one, but I'm going to be the. I actually no, I'm not going to be a homer on the first one.
Oh, come on. You
I
can be a
am.
homer.
Dang it. I'm going to go for. I'm going to be the homer in the first one. I'm going for the Bobcat of Ohio University.
There you go.
My Bobcat, and I was going to lead in with this story and talk about it, and we talked about it on an earlier podcast when Andy and I went to a football game at Ohio State, and we were sitting down there at about the 10th row, and we're looking down going, Ohio University was playing Ohio State, I don't know, what, 10, 15 years ago, and we're looking down going, what the heck is going on? That Bobcat's attacking Brutus. Wait a minute, that Bobcat's beating the crap out of Brutus. Wait a minute, he is. And all of a sudden, the
Yeah.
security guards are grabbing the Bobcat. Well, it turned out that Bobcat was nowhere near from Ohio University. It was some guy that had it in his will to go and figure out how to be the mascot. And he was trying to pick that game to go so he could go beat up on Brutus the Buckeye. But I'm going to be the homer. I'm going to take the Bobcat from Ohio University as my number one mascot pick to be the homer.
All right. I fully expected that, and I'm going to be the homer too. Just get it out of the way. So Brutus Buckeye is number two on the list, and it's a poisonous nut, and it's awesome. And
It is awesome.
I love the personality. Brutus is everywhere. The kids have always loved him. and I just love, it's just it's
Big
just a
smile on his face.
big
That's the
smile,
best thing. Big smile.
perfect
That's
mascot, really. I mean, it's a freaking nut, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. So I got to go with Brutus. Really no further commentary required on that one.
yeah. We did Homer 1, Homer 2, and I agree
There you
with
go.
both Homer 1, Homer 2. Probably our listeners going to say the same thing. If you picked anybody else, you would be a betrayal to the motherland. From here on, man, I have 12 on my list, and I could go with any of these 12. I mean, there's one in the Big Ten I love. There's one now in the SEC. I am gonna go. I was gonna pick something else. I am gonna pick. I really, really thoroughly enjoy this mascot. I've been to several of the games now. I'm gonna be another homer. I'm taking Cocky of South Carolina as my number 3 pick. South Carolina, if you ever want to attend a fun football game, South Carolina Gamecock football game, those fans know they're probably going to lose. They accept the fact that they're going to root for their team, but they do the best job of the whole game of keeping their fans electrified. And that little stupid cocky of South Carolina and what they do along and how that everything they do a great job. I am going to go with Cocky as my number 3 pick as the best mascot across country.
Never heard of cocky before. What is
Yeah, you.
cocky?
Oh, I got to ask you
Is it a
offline.
chicken?
I
Is it
got an
chicken?
invitation. It's a rooster, man.
Rooster.
Chicken. It's a rooster. By the way, I got to talk to you offline. I got an invitation for you for a football game.
Oh, okay. Cool. Like that. All right.
Number 4.
I guess technically you could argue this is also being a homer again, but I always honestly did like this mascot. Just it's just so cute, and I just love the UGA
Oh
mascot for
man, that was actually
UGA.
my number 3.
Yeah,
I jumped down and I went Uga, and actually I had it as Uga, but I also had the same one from Mississippi State. They're both Bulldogs. They're both tied for me. I That is one of my favorite. I
yeah.
100%
What are they
agree.
on? They're like UGA 10 or UGA 9 or something at this point.
I thought it was
But
12.
oh, is it 12? Okay, I'm behind the
Maybe
times.
I'm wrong, but I thought it was like a 12. I
Yeah, but
mean,
they're
there's a
so just I just love bulldogs. They're slobbery. They breathe
they
loudly.
have a lot of needs, and they just
Yeah, they're like
yeah.
chronic issues, but they're just so freaking cool. So it's a great mascot.
Ah,
Number 5.
golly. My number 5 is one I really want to call, but I gotta be in parody here, and I gotta go with being parody and level here. It's a good mascot. I'm gonna go with it. No, I'm gonna go with my heart. Sparty of Michigan State. I love Sparty. I think that's one of the best mascots going around. Sparty going out there is I mean, if I really that's one of the best mascots. Sparty getting out there, you know, Michigan State's not an enemy of Ohio State, and I think those fans are some of the best fans out there. Um, and that mascot just look.
I he it was on my top 5 too. I absolutely think that is the coolest mascot,
Coolest, hey, just
and
great mascot.
it's just perfect for what you want to see on a college
Right.
football field.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree, and they're not a non-threatening team to me. So
Yeah, they beat
that,
us a couple times when it was
yeah,
important. You go, but yeah,
yeah,
all right.
it's gonna
I'm
happen.
not a hater.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that choice a lot. All right. Um, I've got a couple here. So I'm going to save my last one. I got to be a homer again. So now I've got to,
We're at
I'm,
6. You still have one more
yeah, I have one more after this. So
after this.
I like both of these pretty much equally. So I'm going to go with Bevo from Texas.
Ah, there you go. I had that right there at number 5 too. Yes, Bevo. There,
Those,
that having that big old freaking bull out there, and you know you can even tie the bulldog. I don't know if you saw that a couple years back when the bulldog was around that steer, and the steer went bat crap crazy because the bulldog was around it. So they
oh,
would
I
not
didn't hear
allow the
that.
dog near the Bevo. Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Well,
Where
they're going to have to take care of that this weekend because
yes,
the
exactly
Bulldogs
right,
meeting Bevo.
right.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good weekend, man. I'm all
Yeah,
psyched up
well,
for this weekend. You know, our
yeah,
Buckeyes are out, but man, it's going to
yeah,
be a good weekend. Yeah, I'm all psyched. That was a great. That's right in my list as well. Bevo is just awesome. All right, I got to be a homer. Um, sorry, sweetie, I'm not picking the big one yet, but I got to go with. I it's really the War Eagle of Auburn. That War Eagle coming in. I mean, their mascot's the Auburn Tiger, but that eagle flying in. If you ever get to an Auburn football game, that's another set of fans and a place to go see. We've been through almost every SEC team to go see a football game. I rank South Carolina better than almost all the stadiums, and Auburn tied right there. It is just electric place. Their fans are the same, except for South Carolina fans don't think they're going to win. Auburn fans think they should be winning every game,
right.
and big difference. But having that eagle coming in and landing right before the
That's
football
cool.
game is one of the coolest things. And then their games, they almost always have jets flying over as soon as that eagle lands. It's just a breathtaking. They do a wonderful job of firing up that crowd of about 90,000 people, and they are all fired up. So I'm gonna stay the Auburn Tiger, but it's really the War Eagle of Auburn.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey.
So if you go Bama for 9, then you are the biggest homer in the history of podcasting. So, all right. I'm going to also be a homer, and I'm going to go Mr. Commodore for number 8.
Oh God,
Sorry.
you're a big homer. Are you kidding me? Homer. But if there's a year to take it,
Exactly. This is
holy
the
crap.
year. The
Oh baby,
Commodores are
I'm
relevant
rooting for them all day
again.
long, man. I
Yes.
love it. That quarterback you got, you
Yeah,
picked him, you had him on your list at the
I
beginning of this whole
did.
podcast. Man,
Yeah.
I love those guys, man. I'm like cheering all the time, watching it going. Yes, yeah, I'm cheering for those guys the whole way through, except for
Love it.
one football game. I can't have them beat South Carolina because I have to have that pick to try to get $14,000.
Oh,
But I am that's going to be a big pick coming up in a couple weeks. So
yeah.
you and I have to probably go watch a football
Okay.
game together to see
Okay.
South Carolina against because I got big money laying down on the season, the pool I'm in of going the SEC Deadpool. But good pick this season. That's good.
This season.
What
There you
is
go.
the Commodore? What is it?
It's Mr. Commodore, so he's like it's like a big old head with like a 1800s English Commodore like head hat. I can't really describe it honestly. It's a dark black because they're black and gold. He kind of looks like Sparty, but instead of like a fighter from the Roman times, he's like a 1800s ship English ship captain or something.
So I'm at number 9, and I gotta decide at number 9. What do I pick for number 9? I know what I want. I know what I should pick.
Oh, see,
I
this is
know
your
what I
year.
know.
You're processing
Or do
some
I
through your
put it in
brain.
honorable mentions? Or do I go and pick it? You know, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to be the homer.
There you go.
I'm going to be the homer
Keep the
because
peace.
the what I really want to pick is the Florida State Chief. Man, that is one of the
Mm.
best. But I'm not picking that one. We're putting the Florida State Chief. That is just an awesome mascot and what they do. But what I'm going to go with, of course, Big Al of Alabama. Big Al at number 9.
He's cool. I have to admit.
It is cool. Big Al is pretty good. Uh, I mean that's a good one. So, do you have any honorable mentions
Yes,
besides?
yes. I do, and I think I've only got two that I didn't come out in all this. I do a not a fan of Notre Dame, but the Leprechaun at Notre
Yeah.
Dame. I
You know,
like
I don't
that.
like that one. I think
I do.
that
I do. I think it's kind of cool. It's like a guy, it's like a student, and
yeah.
he comes out. I think it's kind of cool. And then Bucky Badger, I think's got to be there as
Oh,
an honorable mention. Yeah.
I think Bucky needs to have a little facelift. He's a little Bucky is just not. Eh. I like Bucky the Badger, but he needs a little what's the Bucky's down here, the
Oh,
stop, the truck
yeah,
stop.
right.
Yeah,
Truck
the
stop.
Bucky the Badger needs the same kind of facelift to be Bucky's
Okay.
the yeah, actually what they should go do is go partner with Bucky's
There you
and get
go.
Bucky's and Bucky the Badger and start promoting, because I think that Bucky is a little more happier than Wisconsin. But that's a good pick. Yeah,
The
I've got some honorable.
USC Trojan would probably be on
That's
that
the
list as
honorable
well.
mention I have too. It's called the
Oh,
Traveler or something. I think the USC Trojan is awesome. Very, very good. And the other one I had is I love Pistol Pete of Oklahoma State.
oh, yeah.
That's a great one. And my wild card that I was looking up, I was going to add in there. I kept going, do I add it? Because I love this mascot. It's just the best out in college football for everybody to go watch for. And it's the Banana Slugs out there of University of California, Santa Cruz. It is Sammy the Banana Slug. So the Banana Slugs of Santa Cruz, that is just one of the best names out there. The partying Banana Slugs.
The banana slugs. I think we should probably also add Ralphie the Buffalo from Colorado and
That's a good one.
Boomer
Yep.
Sooner from Oklahoma is also a cool one.
Yep, I was looking at those too, and there was some school out there, I think Sanford. Their mascot
Tree.
was a what?
Stanford is a tree.
No, Sanford,
Oh,
not the tree.
Sanford. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
Stanford's a tree. I go, nah, nah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant.
No, I think it was Sanford. I'm probably
From
wrong.
Birmingham. Yeah.
No, there's one that had a mascot out there that was a keg of beer. It's a Division III school.
Not
At
Stanford then. That's a nice
no, no,
school.
no, no. Yeah, it's some way off school, and I went, I gotta include that one, but I go, no, I'm not
Keg
gonna.
of beer.
It's a keg with a tap, and that's their
Okay.
mascots.
That
That
sounds
should be
boss
Ohio
thinking.
University's, but
There,
no
yes,
longer.
exactly.
All right, that's the Dirty Niner. We had some good mascots. We're a couple homers, though. That's okay. We love our schools. Hopefully, you guys got a little entertainment out there. We're going on to our next segment. And so our podcast is about being positive. We like putting smiles on your face, having a good time. And one of the things Mr. Panda had pointed out, he goes, I like life's little pleasures. What are those things? And you guys just think about what is that one small thing you do on a daily? You go, what is the thing? Is it ice cream? Is it turning on the Family Matters? What is that one little thing that brings life's little pleasures? This is our segment of what's the one thing. So Panago, lead it off. What is your life's little pleasure that brings you happiness?
So, so last time I did the whole four phases of eating an M&M, which this one's going to be a little more simplistic than that. But when I was growing up playing baseball, and we had wood bats mostly back then, and one of life's little pleasures is when you hit a baseball with a wood bat and you hit it perfectly flush, like it is just dead center, and you hit it with good velocity, and the ball just flies off the barrel, and you don't feel it because a wood bat, if you hit it badly, you stings your hands and all of that. But when you hit it flush, you don't feel it. It just has this feeling that I am not articulate enough to describe how it feels, other than to say it just feels amazing. And so, just the concept of hitting a ball flush perfectly with a wood instrument, because it also applied when I first played golf. The woods were not made of all these titanium, and if they were made of persimmon wood. And so when you would hit a golf ball off of the tee, with one of these, persimmon woods, and you hit it flush, you would have the same feeling playing golf back then. And now they have metal bats and they have metal clubs, and you can get kind of a similar feel, but it's not the same. It is definitely not the same. So just something about the nature of wood and hitting a ball of some kind and doing it perfectly, how good that feels. So that is my this week's life's little pleasure.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I actually had a little couple analogies off of that one, but they were not clean, so I let it go. It needed dirty up the podcast. I had finished everything else as a part of the podcast, and I was thinking, all right, what's the life's little pleasures? And I realized this with my parents moving out and being back in the homeland. I gotta say, one of my life's little pleasures, and this not being an alcoholic or anything else, but sitting down in the old pub that we all go to and ordering a beer and having a beer. And, we all experience stress and life's, everything throws you different ways. But in our pub, what happens is there's everybody comes in there, they're old friends from 40 years, and we all get together and we talk. And so my life's little pleasure was I ordered a Bud Light and I sat down, and I'm fortunate enough that there's so many people that I know, they just come over and start talking. And we just start talking about current, past, future, everything. And I got to say, my life's little pleasure is sitting down and just having a beer
Mm,
with all those old friends and
mm,
just talking. I mean, I spent probably 4 hours with somebody I hadn't seen. I saw him maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. A good friend that was in high school, Mr. Brian Sutterfield. Shout out to Sutterfield. Hope you're listening to this podcast. You said you're going to look it up, but shout out. Just having that and talking with a lot of old friends. Everybody comes through, and it's kind of like the old Cheers episode where everybody knows your name. Stopping back into that place. We're getting older now, and hopefully, we have that place to go to where everybody still knows your name. And having that just a Bud Light or whatever your choice of a beer. I don't go after any hard liquor or anything like that. Just having a beer and having a cheers up and saying hello to everybody. Where a beer is still $2 in Lancaster, Ohio, and you go out there and I spend $20 to buy everybody around, and I spend that for a beer in Alpharetta, Georgia, and so I'm happy to go there and say cheers to all my old friends back in the motherland. So yes, that's one of life's little pleasures.
that is absolutely one of life's little pleasures. That is exactly a life's little pleasure. I love that one. I think we can all respect that.
All right, last segment here, and we're rolling into. So we're gonna make this a little abbreviated, but it's a big change this year. College football, and this year has been a year of change. And so over this year, we've heard so many people have gone, I don't like it. I don't like the portal. I don't like the NIL. I don't like the 12-team playoff. I want to go back to the ratings. I want to go back to the two tiers. I want to go back and go, you know what? My opinion of everything that's happened, this has been so far through midway through the season, has been one of the best college football seasons of all time. We just lost a game with Ohio State, and we're all going, it's okay. We probably
Yeah,
could lose one more and still be,
yeah,
we're okay.
yeah, yeah.
Before, we'd be sitting on our
Mm,
side of our chairs going, we're
mhm,
never going to get there. We got to have like 10 teams lose
mhm,
games to be able to think about getting into the 4-team playoff, let alone being in the 2-team playoff, let alone
mhm,
being in the ratings. So now it brings so many more teams, so many more people. Look at it now. This year we have Indiana at 6-0. We have Pitt at 6-0.
mhm.
We have BYU 6-0. Teams that should never ever have those kind of records, and so we're having a little more parity. Now, I'm not saying any of those teams are going to win the college football playoff, but we have parity, and we have a lot more excitement. We have a lot more fans getting into the game, And that's what college football about. It's about tradition. It's about getting more people involved with your college football team. And it's very localized. So, NFL, you get an area, big area. But college football just brings so much more togetherness. And even if you go to a college football team or games, the other team is so friendly when you walk into a college football in most places. We won't say that about Ohio State and Michigan, but just about everywhere else, they are friendly. No matter where you go, they welcome you in. If you're from the opposing team, and that's what it's all about. So, what do you think about this year of change? What's your opinion, Andy? Anna?
Yeah, I I have some of the same reservations that you called out. I don't really love the way the NIL is being implemented, but I think it's good over more players can participate. And some of these kids come from families where they don't have a dime, and so they're actually helping their family. So I think all that's good, but I don't like the way it's actually being implemented. But that I think that'll get figured out. But what it has done, it is kind of evening out some of the talent pool and allowing the kids a little more flexibility. Um, allows a player to go who is going to sit behind
Dude,
somebody for
look
two
at your
years.
quarterback at Vanderbilt. Man, he was
Yeah,
playing at junior varsity or JU program, and then got to New Mexico and beat Auburn, and
yeah,
then figured out that Vanderbilt said, "Hey, I need a quarterback." Picked him
yeah,
up, and that dude is good. Found a wide
yeah.
receiver and a running back. That's a fun
Vanderbilt's
team.
Vanderbilt's a great example because they are, in the SEC at the very bottom of the totem pole in terms of ability to attract players. It's hard. It's a hard academic school. All of those things. But now they can go into the portal and pick up this kid from New Mexico State, pick up running back, and they can go from not having a chance coming into the year, and all of a sudden, if they hit it, if they get lucky with, you have to. Not all these transfers actually pan out, but in Vanderbilt's case, it is. And so then they can have a successful year and maybe go to a bowl game. So, yeah, that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. So I think overall it's good. I think we're going to see, I
Better
heard
rules. We have to have better rules about the
there needs to be
anime.
better
I mean, it's
roles.
got to be better rules.
But I think with the 12 teams, like I've heard that the SEC and the Big Ten are meeting and they're talking about doing a Big Ten SEC challenge, like the Big Ten ACC in basketball, where every school from would play
Plays one.
plays another school from the other
Wow.
conference, and they have a little tournament. And they're talking about doing that in football. That would be crazy cool. So it's opening because now they're not afraid of losing a game. Like you said earlier,
Bingo. That's
if you lost a
exactly right.
game, it's season's
So
over.
what?
So now if you lose a game in the Big Ten SEC tournament, okay, so you lost a tough game, you still got a shot
And
to get
I would
in.
argue
So
those two conferences, a two-loss team is in. In those two conferences, a two-loss team, for the most part, is in, unless you're Vanderbilt or Indiana or Purdue.
yeah, right. I would say of the upper echelon teams in those conferences, two losses and you're still in. I agree. So it allows them. So we're going to see some better game in the coming years,
Which
better
is
games
fans, that's
early.
what we want. We want to see the
Exactly,
good games. I don't want to see Marshall
exactly.
against. I
Right.
mean, I want to see. I want to. We still have to have those other games, but I want to see some good,
Yeah.
close. Yeah, I mean, competition. You go, golly, that's when we're seeing it now. Texas, Georgia this weekend.
Oh, that's
You'd
gonna be
never
a killer
see
game.
that.
No,
Oregon,
that's
Ohio
awesome.
State. You'd never see that. Right? It's
So
awesome.
So I think the other thing is in the past, you pretty much most of the time to win the Natty, you had to be undefeated. I don't think there may not even be an undefeated team by the end of this year, and it won't matter. There's 17. They're playing 17 games. Like in the NFL, only one team's ever gone 16-0, 14-0, or 17-0 actually playoffs. So it's hard to win every game. So
I
you're
think there's
gonna
been two teams that made it besides the Dolphins in '72. I think the Patriots made it,
the
and I think
Patriots made it to the Super
the
Bowl, but
North
lost.
Carolina and Carolina made it to the Super Bowl. Both those two teams made it to the Super Bowl, and they lost as undefeated teams.
Yeah. So it's hard to go undefeated that many games. So even the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States, they're even in their good years, they're likely to trip up a game somewhere, and it doesn't matter. They're still going to get in the playoffs. They're still going to have a shot. So I think net, it's been great. The games this year have been amazing. Just think of the Alabama Georgia game, the Ohio State Oregon game, all of these, like even like USC Minnesota, and all of these games that are
USC
just
Penn State, man, that's a new
Penn State.
rivalry.
Oh my
That was
God,
awesome.
that was a
What a
great
game.
game. Yes. So yeah, it's been a great year, and I think
One of the best in
trending
memory.
up.
I mean, since
Yeah.
back in 2007. I mean, you go back and start looking at of matchups. Well, actually, I think we've tied the record this year of number of overtime games of top 20 teams.
Hmm.
2 weeks in a row, we've tied the record
Hmm.
of overtime games.
That's cool.
Right. That's just cool stuff. I
That
mean,
is cool.
golly, that means parity and it's good. That's good
Yeah.
football. Guess when
Yeah.
you have to have 3, 4 TVs going on, buy more TVs.
Exactly.
Folks, we really appreciate you listening to our podcast. Always make sure you stay tuned. By the way, stay tuned. Still an announcement coming up. And by the way, pictures coming up a little more end of the video. But right now, we have to have Andy Panda is going to
Yep.
stump wheels. And it's not too
Yep.
hard of a stump because, it doesn't take much to stump wheels. When it
You
comes
got
to a
the last
movie
one. To your credit, you got the last one. So
with a
you're
little
on a
hint,
1 game winning streak here, but I think it's going to come to an end on this one. Personally, this is one of my favorite quotes from one of the great comedies of the '80s. One of the great comedic actors, and actually many comedians in this movie. So I don't know if you've seen the movie. Is my main concern, but um, anyway, it's a great line, and so here it goes. Um, you are in more dire need of a blowjob than any white man in history.
I know that line. And I know that line. And it is, oh gosh, I know that line.
It's one of the great comedians of all time. He
Right.
died. He died. He's dead now, but
Robin Williams is
yes,
the
yes,
comedian. I knew who the
yes.
comedian was.
Okay, all right.
And it's the according to Garp, the world
No,
according to Garp.
nope,
Oh,
nope. It is.
wow. I was gonna
Yeah,
bet it was that movie.
that's actually a great guess, by the way. Yeah, because there was a
Uh,
blowjob thing going on in
Oh
that
no,
movie
it's
too.
what no yeah. It's from the guys that stand up on the tables, that do the college. Is he the professor in the
No, no,
college?
no, not that one. That was Dead Poet Society.
I knew
He
it was Robin
he
Williams.
was
As soon
a
as you
he was a
what is it?
DJ. He was a DJ in this movie.
Birdcage?
No.
I don't know. Guy, give up.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Ah, yeah. Jesus. As soon as you said the line, I knew it was Robin Williams,
Yeah, I don't
but
think
I
he could
couldn't.
deliver a line like that, and it was amazing.
I just saw an interview with somebody who was with him. Oh, Henry Winkler on Happy Days, and they when the Mork character came into Happy Days, they said when the scripts came out, all the actors had a script except for Robin Williams. They said insert Robin Williams here. Hey, there was no script.
Just do and say whatever you want.
He would just say whatever he wanted.
I am Mark for Mark. Nadu
Oh
nadu.
man, one of the greatest comedians of all time. That
Yeah, he
guy
was. Yeah,
in that movie you're talking about, just one of the best.
great
Anybody's
movie.
never one of the best ever. Um, what was the Forrest? What was his name? Forrest
Forrest
Whitaker.
Whitaker. Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
um, just a fantastic movie. So kids,
Yeah.
if kids that are watching Good Morning Vietnam, one of the best movies
Oh, you
ever. Go
have to
watch
see
that.
it.
You get a little history because there
Yeah.
is a little bit of history that's
There's some
somewhat true about.
reality.
Yeah, a
It's
lot of
not a
reality
full
about that.
on.
Yeah,
It's not 100% comedy. There's some drama in there too, but
right.
with Robin, yeah, there's a lot of comedy too.
Golly, it was funny. All right, the big announcement, the big red wheels panda announcement. So we are always continuing in with the mixtapes of mopeds podcast. We're going to do it a few times a month. We may do a little less than what we've done in the past. We'll always continue this on. We're going to have a lot of guests. We're going to try to get you
Yeah.
guys involved.
That's
So
the key.
please post. You guys
Yeah.
need to be on here. Post. Say, hey, I want to join your podcast. We want to bring you on the podcast. Post on here, whether it's on YouTube or Apple or what's the other, Spotify.
Yeah.
Please go out there and post.
I
But
know
we're also
you.
announcing we're going to be having a new podcast coming out. It's going to be a national podcast. So we are doing a podcast. We're not doing the necessarily in mixtapes. So we're going to do a national podcast. We're going to interview. We've got a lot of interest to go do interviews, and we're going to go interview people across the country of somebody you may not know, but something of an interest to make you smile and have a good story. Now we're going to talk about that here coming in the
Yeah.
coming podcast. So stay tuned.
More details to come on that. But I think the key thing for Mixtapes and Mopeds, not going anywhere. We love it. This is we're getting everything we wanted from this, and we just want to, I think, tweak the format to get more of our friends involved with some stories and really focus on the things that we dealt with and events and fun times as we grew up, and we want to bring friends on and have those conversations and laugh really hard. So you're going to see more people coming onto this particular podcast, and we'll look forward to bringing those crew on in the coming months. So we're looking forward to that.
So with that, please post, like, love, send it on to all your friends, and let us know. Hey, you want to come on our podcast? There's not a no out there, unless you're a crazy bastard. Then we may say no.
We know a few of those, so yeah, we reserve the right to ignore you.
Thank you for watching our podcast, and thank you for all the kind comments for everybody that watches. And hey, Motherland, we love you guys in the Motherland and all around the country. See y'all.
Thanks all. See ya.
Welcome to the podcast, Lori and Todd. Holy crap.